StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. Dre, what is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are getting into the what do we want to call this? We'll call this the retort side, two-part series to the previous two-part series. The question was, can the little guy still make it in the United States of America? And I answered in the affirmative the previous two episodes. So, as I often do, I am going to argue against my own argument, and I'm going to tell you why some people may argue the little guy cannot make it in the United States of America. And again, my actual answer to this, just so all of you understand, can a little guy make it in America? The answer is yes. The little guy absolutely can make it. That's my answer to the question. But what I did in the previous two episodes is give you all the talking points, if you will, as to why it is possible today and tomorrow. I'm gonna give you all the talking points as to why it is not possible, why the little guy cannot make it in the United States of America moving forward. Again, this is going to be a two-part series. I'm going to give you my opinion on these talking points, but I am going to share what they are and explain to you why some people actually believe these talking points, because there are many people who believe them, and for some of these points with good reason. So let's get into it. Number one, reason why the little guy cannot make it in the United States of America. First of all, cost of living has gone up. I think we all can agree to that. Inflation keeps devaluing the dollar. In other words, every dollar that you have is worth, it has less and less power day after day because inflation keeps weakening our own money. That is true. And it makes it harder for people to get even, let alone to get ahead. So people are going deeper into debt. They're less able to afford the lifestyle that they have been able to afford up until this point. And again, people can't even keep themselves afloat on a regular level, let alone can they get ahead to where they have some cushion or some, let's just say, financial advantage for lack of a better term. Is this true? Yes, this is true. That is very true. This is one of the challenges with the middle class collapsing that I have talked about many times here on this show. I have warned you all that the middle class is going away. I told you the middle class of life is disappearing in episode 995 a long time ago. I talked to you about the middle class curse in episode number 3177. And in episode number 3143, I did a 4-part series on why the middle class, there will be none. There will not be a middle class in the United States of America. By 2050, there will be no middle class. And all of these things I've laid out. So is this a legitimate point? Yes, it's a very, very legitimate point, especially for people who are stably, or what's the word I want to use, who are not stably, I don't know if that's even a word, but people who are entrenched, let's just say, in the middle class. I talked about this a lot of times. The value of your dollars are going down. We are all going to work every day to make dollars, and the value of that work is we're not getting more dollars at the same pace that the dollar is getting less value. And I'm not saying every single person, some of you very well are doing that, but many people are not doing that. And the average person is not doing that. And the problem is most people are not increasing the amount of dollars they collect as fast as the value of those dollars are decreasing, what I just explained. So in other words, most people, even though they're still working, maybe working more and harder than ever, maybe even bringing more value than ever, you are still going backwards financially, even though you're still putting in the effort. This is one of the things that many people start to feel in what I call the middle class squeeze, where you're doing all quote unquote the right things, yet you are still going further and further backwards no matter how hard you try. And is this a real thing? Again, for the third time, hell yes, this is a real thing. Wages are not keeping up with the increased cost of living, increased expenses of humanity, and it doesn't seem to be any fix coming along to solve the problem. By the way, if you think your favorite politician is going to fix this, maybe they will help you a little bit, but I would not depend on any politician, Donald Trump, a Republican, a Democrat, or any other one you want to name. I wouldn't depend on any of them doing this because, first of all, even if they are successful, it takes years for this turnaround to actually show. And there's going to be some temporary pain in order for a turnaround, if it occurs, to happen. Remember, third law of economics, ladies and gentlemen, is that there is no such thing as a free lunch. There are no free lunches. I just explained this in episode number 3261, the first 3 laws of economics. Always remember that. There are no free lunches. Anything you get, especially if it comes from the government, you're going to pay for it. Whether you pay up front or you pay later, you will pay. Okay, there are no free lunches. It's just a law. You can't get one. And the only fix you actually have, ladies and gentlemen, is doing something different than what you may be doing right now. That is the fix that you have. The problem with that is the law of inertia. And I talked about the law of inertia in episode number 2466. The law of inertia states an object in motion shall remain in motion, an object not in motion shall remain not in motion until or unless acted upon by an outside force, more commonly known as momentum and stagnation. Momentum and stagnation, now I'm forgetting the word I want to use to describe it, but y'all get the point. Respectively, that's the word, respectively. The problem with all this, again, most human beings do not want to do anything other than what they're already doing. And they simply wait for something or someone to change their circumstance. The problem is you're in for a very rude awakening because it ain't happening. All right, that something or someone ain't coming. Just to make sure, I just want to make sure you ain't one of those people who's sitting around waiting, because it's not going to happen. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is can a little guy still make it in the United States of America? This is the no argument. Second reason is big businesses are dominating and controlling the markets. Now let's talk about that. Do big businesses and big corporations and these billion-dollar companies, whoever you're talking about, are they dominating and controlling the markets? The answer is hell yes. They're dominating and controlling the markets. They always have. For the last 100 years, big businesses have dominated and controlled the markets. This is a thing. It's always been a thing. And I would bet it continues to be a thing. Why? Because the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is just a law. Again, this is a scientific law of the universe. I just explained to you the law of inertia. When you're in momentum, you tend to keep doing the same thing. And when you're in stagnation, you tend to keep doing the same thing. So companies that have a whole lot of money and they got there by doing things that made them a whole lot of money, guess what they're going to do in the future? They're going to keep doing the shit that makes them a whole lot of money. Are you surprised? Is this news to you? That's what they're going to do. And they're going to continue to build, they're going to continue to increase the gap between where they are and where everyone else, quote unquote, is. This has always been true. It is becoming even more true to this day, and it will be more true tomorrow than it is right now, because big businesses have the most resources. They are most able to exploit innovations and automation. They are able to exploit artificial intelligence, and they're able to exploit just general technology. And they are going to get breaks from the government while they have more money than everybody, and they keep making more money than everybody. The government is still going to give them more breaks than they give to everybody else. And why would the government do this? Well, the government does this because those big corporations contribute a lot to the government. They give a lot of donations to your favorite politicians. So the trade-off of that, remember, no such thing as a free lunch. If I'm giving you a $100 million donation to your campaign, Mr. Congressperson, you better not pass any bills that go against what my company wants, Mr. Congressperson, or you know where that money came from. Do you not? Is that part of the game? Yes, that is part of the game. You may not like it, but that's part of the game. You don't hate the player, hate the game. All right, change the game if you don't like the fact that that's happening. But don't be mad at the people who are playing. When it comes to the government also giving tax breaks to these companies, why do they do it? Because these companies provide, first of all, they are big companies, which means there's a lot of people working there. And when a lot of people work somewhere, what does that mean? That means jobs. Jobs means W-2 payments. W-2 payments means the government gets to take your money first before you touch your own money. And the government loves to get paid first. And the group in the United States that allows the government to get paid first is everyone who has a bi-weekly paycheck. Why? Because when you look at your check, if you look at the pay stub, you see that a whole bunch of money was taken from you before you had a chance to touch it. That's the government taking their cut. They get their cut before you get your cut. That's what happens when you're unemployed. And who creates the opportunities for employees to be employees? Big businesses who have a bunch of people who work there. Companies like Amazon, like Google, like Apple, etc. They create jobs, and the government loves jobs for the very reason that I just explained. They get paid first when you have a job. When you're a business owner, you get paid first and the government gets paid last. That's why you only pay taxes once a year. When you are, well, most people pay taxes once a year. Most businesses pay taxes once a year. But when you are an employee, you pay taxes every 2 weeks. They take it right out of your check. You pay taxes. The government gets your money before you get your money, and they do it every single time you get money. They get a cut first. This is one of the reasons why, as an author of 41 books, as of this recording, I never tell anyone to go to Amazon and buy my book, even though every single book that I have written is available on Amazon. I never tell anyone to go to Amazon and buy my book. Why is this? Because, well, several reasons. One of the main reasons that connects to the point that I'm making right here is that when someone buys my book off Amazon, Amazon gets paid first and I get paid last. I hate getting paid last. I like getting paid first. Amazon gets paid first. They collect the $25 for the book. They take their cut. And then 30, 60, 90 days from now, I get whatever is remaining. I hate that shit. That's why I never send anyone to Amazon. Every book is on Amazon. But if you go look up any one of my books on Amazon, then you go look it up on my website where I sell them through my own sales funnels, guarantee you the price is lower on my site than it is on Amazon. How can I guarantee you that? Because I set the prices. So I just play Amazon against itself. And even though some people still go on Amazon and buy my book because they don't know any better, That's my mistake because they should know better and they should be getting it from me. So none of you, if you ever want to get one of my books, just ask me where to get it from. I will tell you, and it ain't going to be Amazon, guaranteed. The whole point here, folks, is big businesses have these economies of scale. I just explained to you why the government likes them. That's why they continue to get more scale and more advantage than what they already have. And they can do all these things faster than everybody else. Okay, the everyday person can take advantage of these things that I just mentioned, but big businesses can take more advantage. They can do it faster because they have more resources and they can just operate and get things done generally more effectively than an individual person can. Not always, but generally they can. Now, big bureaucracies, sometimes they move slow by design, but a lot of these businesses can do things just on such a mass scale that even if you do it on Monday before them, by the time they get around to it on Wednesday, they'll still blow you out the water, even though you started 2 days before them. This does not mean that the individual person or small business is completely at a loss. That is not what I'm saying, because I do not run a big corporation. It doesn't mean people like me and you, maybe if you're a small business owner, doesn't mean you can't win, especially if you're looking for ways to use these same tools that I'm mentioning offensively. The person who is in a worse position is not the one who is just not the big business. It's the person who is standing still, they're being stagnant, and you're hoping that the situation changes for you. Notice a common theme here. I mentioned this same situation twice already in the first 2 points. You want to make sure you are not in the position of sitting around waiting for something to happen. And instead, you are taking advantage of things rather than having advantage taken of you. All right, that's what you want. Now, what do we talk about every day when I open the show? Personal initiative to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. So while it is true that big businesses just have some advantages that you, if you're not a big business and you don't own a big business, will not be able to take advantage of, that doesn't mean you can't take advantage of anything. Doesn't mean you can't do anything. You can do something. You're just going to make sure you're not the people wheezing in the back, wondering why big businesses have all these opportunities that you don't have. What you should do is look at what big businesses are doing and ask yourself, what are big businesses doing that I could also do myself? Isn't that a good question? That's a really good question. And guess what? Guess who answered that question? I did. I did a 7-part series starting in episode number 2902. The literal title of the series is Big Business Principles for Small Businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, this is a one-stop shop for everything you need personally and professionally. This show right here. And you see, I'm giving you the receipts. I'm telling you where it is. All this stuff is available to you. All you got to do is go access it. Episode number 2902. That's part 1 of a 7-part series where I tell you a bunch of things that big businesses do that even if you don't have their resources, you can still do the same things on your level and at your scale. So please do not say nobody ever gave you access to the material. I'm giving it to you here every single day. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is can the little man still make it in the United States of America? And some people say no. Here's the third reason why no. The rich continue to get richer while everyone else is stagnating. Now, is this true? From the perspective of a lot of people, the masses of people, the answer is absolutely yes. Yes, this is true. The gap between the rich and the poor is bigger now than it was 10 years ago. And it was bigger then than it was 20 years ago, and bigger then than it was 30 years ago. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, the gap between the rich and the poor. This is 100% factually true. And it's true for several reasons. Many people tend to attribute this to the wrong reasons. Many people say, well, the reason it's happening is because these rich people are just bad people taking advantage of everybody else. I completely disagree. The reason why the rich and the poor, the gap between the two of them continues to get bigger, or the rich and the average, let's just call it, continues to get bigger, is because people who are in certain positions continue to do the same thing that got them into the position that they're in, and therefore they continue to exacerbate the difference between them. People who are in great shape and people who are in terrible shape, the gap between them continues to increase as each ages. Why? Because they keep doing the same stuff that got them to where they are. This is, again, ladies and gentlemen, the law of inertia in action, momentum and stagnation. You continue to do the thing that got you to where you are, you're going to keep getting more of what you've been getting. All of you logically understand this. And the difference between the rich and the poor, it applies to money the same way it applies to mindset, the same way it applies to happiness, the same way it applies to discipline, the same way it applies to fitness, the same way it applies to every other aspect of life, is that the people who are doing good keep doing the same things that made them good, so they continue to get better. And the people who are average keep doing the same things that made them average, so they continue to stay average. The problem is there's no neutral in the universe. You're either growing or dying, building or destroying, getting better or getting worse. Therefore, the people who are staying average are actually going backwards while they feel like they're standing still. But there's no such thing as standing still. Everybody understand this? So do the rich continue to get richer? Yes. Is everybody else stagnating? Again, when I say everybody else, quote unquote, I'm speaking from the perspective of the little guy who thinks he can't get ahead because he's looking at the food on the rich people's plates and wondering why they have so much food, all this steak and lobster, and why you're still eating Spam. Well, your behaviors, your habits. That's why. Not because of where you started, not because somebody's dad had money, not because any of that nonsense you've been fed by Bernie Sanders or whoever else on the far political left is telling you that the big guy with all the money is the reason why you are where you are. That is bullshit. And that is a selling point that politicians use to get you to pay attention to them and put all your resources into them as if they're going to solve your problems. Again, it's been 100 years of them preaching this nonsense and it's never worked. How many times you got to be told the same thing? How many times are you going to have Lucy tell you that she's going to let you kick the football, Charlie Brown, before you realize that she's going to move the fucking football out the way? How many times are you going to fall for this? That is not the reason, even though many people believe it. This point is not a really good point to argue against the little man having an opportunity, but so many people believe it that we have to talk about it, as you see. So some of your favorite politicians, such as Bernie Sanders, AOC, his understudy, former President Barack Obama, with former President Joe Biden, they've all done a great job of conditioning a lot of people to believe the reason that you are, or you may one day struggle, is because there are people bigger than you with more resources than you that are somehow causing your situation or will cause a future calamity situation for you. This is complete nonsense because, again, people get to where they are in life and continue to go further into where they are based on your personal habits and mindsets more than anything else. Number one reason you are where you are and you are going where you're going is because of the way that you think and the way that you consistently behave. Period. That applies to every single one of you in any aspect of your life. I don't care who you are, what you do, or your age. Doesn't matter. Your consistent thoughts and your consistent habits are why you are where you are, who you are, and why you're going where you're going. Good news is you can change your habits and your mindset at any time that you wish. The problem with the frame is that it forces the frame that I just gave you is that it forces people to hold themselves accountable in order to accept it. To accept my frame, you must hold yourself accountable. And I understand, and you should understand, as soon as you start holding people accountable, as soon as you start preaching personal accountability, you eliminate 98% of the population from ever listening to anything that you have to say. I accept this trade-off. Again, third law of economics. Everything has a cost. The cost of personal accountability is that you're only talking to 2 out of every 100 people because only 2 out of every 100 people even want to hear this shit. And the rest of them don't want to hear you. And if they do hear you, they're only hearing you. They're not listening to you. They're hearing you looking for something to disagree with or something to criticize you about. Trust me, I know. Trying to force people to hold themselves accountable is a losing proposition if you're looking to motivate or inspire people to action. So, for example, I have this concept. It was episode 1058 where I talk about the 3 levels of people: 2-minute people, 2-hour people, and 2-day people. And someone on I was live streaming just this morning. I was on TikTok. And by the way, I do live streams 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern on all platforms. So any platform that has streaming, I'm on it. LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, Instagram, all of them. I'm on all of them all at the same time from different devices. 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And today, someone said they took that 2-hour, 2 days concept. And he said, I was trying to explain it to my friend and he didn't want to hear it. LOL. And I said to him, yeah, that's exactly how it goes. You can't go preaching this stuff to people. You got to talk about it. And then you let the people who want to hear it come to you. You don't go running to people and trying to make them want to listen to this shit because they don't want to. All right, go find people who want to hear it, who are looking for it, and then you give it to them. Don't go try to give it to somebody because they're only going to get angry at you. They're going to get annoyed with you. All right, so 2% of people want to be held accountable to get their shit together and will appreciate a message like what I'm giving. I consider the people in my audience to be part of that 2%. And if you're not part of that 2%, you're either going to become part of it or you're going to leave. Those are only 2 options you got. You will change your habits or you will find a way out. You'll find an exit. I'm only had to tell you to leave. You'll leave on your own. As I heard a small business owner say once, is that he gets mad when they had to fire people because he should have made sure, actually, he gets mad when people quit because he should have fired them first. Same thing. Same thing that I'm saying here. All right, let's recap. This is part 1 of our 2-part mini-series, which is the rebuttal to the previous 2-part mini-series. Can a little guy still make it in America? And here I'm arguing the answer of no, they can't make it because, number 1, cost of living plus inflation make it harder for people to get even, let alone to get ahead. This is one of the challenges of the middle class collapsing. Is this a real thing? Yes, it is a real thing, but it doesn't mean it's impossible to get ahead, but it is harder. Number 2, that's why you got to get on the middle class. Number 2, big businesses are dominating and controlling the markets. Is this true? Yes. Has it always been true? Yes. Will it continue to be true? Yes. Good news is I did a 7-part series explaining to you how you can take some of the same principles that big businesses use and use them yourself. So therefore, you don't have an excuse. And number 3, the rich continue to get richer while everybody else stagnates. Is this true? Yes. Has it always been true? Yes. Will it continue to be true? Yes. What can you do about it? Get rich. become one of the rich. Find out what rich people are doing and then start fucking doing it. All of you can do the same things. Again, instead of complaining about it, you can take advantage of it. Don't try to change the world. All right, don't be, who's the person trying to change the world? Whoever that is, don't be that person because they all fail. Instead, get on board with what the game actually is. And then when you get there, then you can help other people out who might be interested in getting better. Remember, 2 minutes, 2 hours, and 2 days people. Not everybody's interested in this. And if they don't want to be, it is not your job to be Jesus Christ and save people. They don't want to be saved. That's what it is. Tomorrow, let's get into part 2 because we're not done. Between now and then, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Learn more about working with me directly. Let me become your direct coach. And let's get to work on putting all these things that we talk about here on the show to real use in your real life to get real results. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all